Morena. Welcome back, fellas. Happy New Year. Got our first logging vid of the year, so I'm going to do a bit of a how-to series to start the year off. And it's mainly just going to be about, I don't know, 3 or 4 of my biggest tips to stay safe while falling. So we're just up at the Nah here. Bloody beautiful morning in the Wairapa. Deer running around everywhere this morning. So I'm just going to go over some things I've seen in the past while training people, and just what I've seen in general with tree felling. Or little mistakes that can have a big outcome. If you look back on my other how-to series, I've gone over a lot of general things like checking lateral lean, you know, staying on the top side of the tree, all that kind of stuff. I'm not going to go over all that. You can go back on my other videos and see that stuff. I'm just going to pinpoint a few things. So the first thing I'm going to say is to pre-select the cutting method you're going to use before you cut anything on the tree, because a lot of times people start back cutting and then quickly realize, oh shit, I should have bore and released it, or I should have quarter cut it, or whatever. So if this first tree it's standing nice and straight up and down, it's leaning that way, and I'm on the top side, so this one is just going to be a conventional scarf and back cut, but I'll show you a few examples as we go. Number one, pre-select the cut you're going to do before you cut the tree. So if the tree's too big for your bar, you know, do your quarter cut on the unsafe side first. I see heaps of people wrapping their bar around, you know, and they can't see how far they've gone, and they've cut holding wood out on the other side, things like that. So I've got a 20-foot bar on, and this tree's can be cut from one side. So it's just a few things that you can quickly tell yourself before you cut the tree. So I know I can cut from this side safely without having to reach. I know I'm on the safe side of the tree. I know it's going to be a conventional back cut. So this is my next biggest thing I see is when you're doing your back cut, just full nungering and not slowing down or stopping. What I normally do is I'll start the cut and I'll pause for a second. I'll have another look up here, and what I'm doing is you're just giving yourself a second to readjust before the tree goes. So have a look at my scarf line, have a look at my bar, have another look up top, and just slow down a little bit on the back cut. But it's not a race, guys. It's not a race to just go a million miles an hour and keep cutting. You'll notice when I do my back cut, I'm just revving. I'm just revving. I'm not just holding it down full power, because I'm constantly readjusting my bar to my scarf line and constantly looking up for hazards. So that's the next tip. Just notice how I got right out of there. Give yourself heaps of time to get out. As soon as it starts going, if I can get out of there. Yeah, just pausing for that second while you're back cutting and not going full nunga. Just lets you realign yourself, have another look for hazards, and generally your holding wood will look way better. Like, with all the experience I've got, if I fall nungin through a tree, the next 10 trees, I guarantee a few of them will be uneven. You better just to slow down. So tip number 1, pre-select the cutting method you're going to use. Tip number 2 is just slow down on your back cut. It's not a race, guys. So here's a bigger tree. So I can see I need to be on the left side here, on the top side. It's got a lateral lean that way, and it's got a heavy lean forward. So that's what I mean about pre-selecting your cut. So I know that I'm going to bore and release this tree. Because if you don't bore and release, you're going to be chasing it off the stump. And everyone knows what the most common cause for tree fellas getting hurt is being too close to these things when they go. Being too close to the butt movement zone. So this is what I mean about pre-selecting your cut. So it's going to be a bore and release. And I can tell straight away that my bar is not quite going to be long enough. So I'm going to get on the unsafe side of the tree, take a little bit out on this side. So I know when I go on the safe side, I don't even have to think about that side at all. There's nothing worse than thinking in your head, have I gone around enough? Have I gone around enough? You just want to be cutting, knowing that all your doors focus on this side, not on this side. Stump's not completely perfect, but so what you can see here, guys, is I've taken out that side, and when I came on this side I didn't have to worry about nothing. Just boring and just concentrated on my holding wood was not quite perfect. It's a little bit out, need to come around a little bit more, but you know, not too bad, and released it, and that gave me another few seconds to frickin' get right out of the way. See, if I would have just normal back cut that, it would have went way too early, and I would have ran the risk of be standing right next to the tree when it's down. So, and that's definitely not what you want. There's one that I've seen quite a lot, and it's letting, you know, people like me giving you all this information and, you know, reading the falling books and getting trained, is don't let that overrule your instinct and common sense when it comes to tree felling. It's, no matter what, guys, common sense really overrules a lot of things. And, you know, not every situation's perfect. Fucking sweating. Not every situation's perfect, not every tree's the same. So, you know, when you get told to stand on the top side, you get told to do this, told to do that, in some situation, you know, common sense has just got to prevail. Like, it's not always perfect. The book is not always right, and all these tips I'm saying are not always right. Sometimes you got to look at a situation and think, if I do this, is it going to be safer for me? Some examples is, a lot of the times over the years, you know, I've finished on the bottom side of the tree because of certain situations, you know what I mean? And in some cases it's definitely been safer to be on the bottom, there's just no doubt about it. Whether there's an interlock branch on the top side, whether, you know, my escape route is shit, you know, or there's just so many different factors of falling. And a lot of people go out there and, you know, trying to do the right thing, trying to stick by the rules in the books and all that stuff. But, you know, my third little tip is common sense prevails. If you can see something that's not right, don't just stand on the top side or do this or do that, or, you know, like, if there's a bluff right here, if there's a big cliff right here and I'm cutting a big tree, I'm not going to go around on the bluff side and try and quarter cut it. You know, there's little things like that. It's like me telling you to quarter cut if it's big. You're not going to risk your life going on the bottom side if you're going to fall down a cliff, are you? No, you're just going to fucking reach around and do your best, because sometimes it's safer around the tree. You know, if you can't stand safely on the bottom side, if you're going to, you know, risk getting hurt trying to do the right thing, why do it? Do you know what I mean? So, just little things like that. And every faller will encounter them sooner or later, where you've got to make a decision on what the safest thing to do. Example is, if you're in a real deep gut and there's heaps of slash around you and there's heaps of hazards, you know, maybe you might have to get an observer and do a 1 onto 3. You know, people writing the books probably get a bit shitty at me saying this, but when in situations where it's a 1 onto 2 drive and it is 50 times safer to go back to a 1 onto 3, even though that's not, you know, what you're supposed to do. You know, call someone up, don't be afraid to tell the loader driver to get out and get his ass up the hill, or your foreman or whoever it is, get up the hill, you need to observe me, it's going to be safer if I do this. You know, document it in your hut, put it in your paperwork, whatever you have to do, but don't just risk getting hurt because you're scared of breaking the rules, or if you know, feel like you're doing something wrong. Like, that's what I mean about common sense. Sometimes situations are different, and every faller has got to approach it as they see it. You know, I don't know what forest you're in, I don't know if, you know, undergrowth or this or that or your situation. So yeah, tip number 3. Another example there of just a bigger tree, so took a little bit out of the other side, and because I wasn't concentrating on the other side, you can see I managed to get, you know, quite nice holding wood, so I didn't have to reach around. I could keep my bar nice and straight. Right, I've run out of time, guys. I've got to go set some wood up. Yeah, I'll run out of wood on the skid. So yeah, obviously there's a lot of other, you know, big tips that people can give you to, you know, to make you a better cutter and all that, but that's just a couple of little things I thought I might as well put together. So yeah, pre-selecting your cut before you start cutting the tree, slowing down with your back cut, always looking up, you know, the common sense, your instincts, you know. So they always say it, when you play, it's like when you play rugby, don't matter how many times you practice a move, it don't matter. If there's a hole there, give it. If the play is supposed to be backdoor so it gets out to the winger, but there's a big hole in the centre, what do? You're going to hit the centre. You're not going to follow what the game plan was. You've got to play what's in front of you. And it's like tree felling. If something needs to change or you need to do something different, everything else goes out the window, because it's about your safety. At the end of the day, we all want to get home to our whānau, don't we? Yeah, that's about it, guys. I was going to go in more depth about the bore and release. That was going to be my last one, but I've run out of time. I've done a how-to series on bore and releasing, so go watch that. It's a very underutilized cut, which helps you get away from the tree when it's going. But not too much, guys. Happy New Year again, and I'll see you on the next video.